Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In tonight's episode, we are unpacking City's early exit from the Club World Cup after a 4-3 loss to Al Hilal last night. We want to look at the Club World Cup in a whole. We want to talk about the pros, the cons of the tournament, what can City take away from it, what are the real causes for concern, and what areas does City need to strengthen ahead of the season starting in August. And also a word on Rodri, who went off injured. Let's get it, guys. Okay, Christian, Manchester City lost 4-3 last night to Al Hilal. Shout out to you, by the way, and anybody that tuned into your live stream. You did a watch along last night, 2 a.m. UK kickoff. You did it. It also went to extra time while I was asleep. So shout out to you and anybody that joined you. I know you said you had great interaction in the chat as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's the positives. Let's get to the game. Obviously, then we'll look at the tournament as a whole, what you liked, what you didn't like, and then head to the season and a word on Rodri. So yeah, I mean, Christian, talk to me about the game. Obviously, I've seen extended highlights on YouTube of the 4-3 loss. Talk to me about, what was your reaction really last night? I know you touched on it in stream, but, for me and any of the new listeners today.
Yeah, look, obviously it was a late one. I mean, 2 a.m. start, and then we got a howling chance in the last minute, and I was just like, please go in. I really can't do extra time. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, goal line clearance. Look, the game started, we looked comfortable. We had, good control of the game. It looked like it was going to be quite a routine victory with an early Bernardo Silva goal. I saw some nice quick passing lanes. City, one thing we have improved on, just to start with a couple of positives, City's quick passing, and I think Reinders and Aït-Nouri have really helped in that department. Obviously, they were a bit unlucky, Al Hilal, if I'm being totally honest. I do think it was handball from Aït-Nouri on the first goal.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
However, so there's little things that looked a little bit better from last season. However, as we got further into the game, it was very reminiscent of last year, and it felt like that Juventus game maybe led us into a bit of a false sense of security because of how poor they were and how easy they were to dominate. They played to all our strengths. They left space in behind. Of course, our wingers, they can do damage when they have enough space. However, there's a simple way to manage this City squad, and Premier League teams worked us out last year. And unfortunately, Al Hilal had obviously done their homework, and we have not left these problems behind, Alex. They were very prominent last night. Just a few things just to start with. I mean, the wing play in general, it just seems recycled, boring, tired. We do the same repetitive ball play. We get it out wide to the wingers. Whether they do beat the man or not, they are very limited once they get in behind. They always make the wrong decision. They're not good in front of goal. It's the same poor play. And I genuinely thought, maybe I have these players got it. Can they kick on a little bit? Can Savinho Doku, are we going to see a little bit more from them this year? A little bit older, a bit more experienced. Alex, I just think I've come to the conclusion, and I think a lot of other City fans should, and more to the point, I think the club should. These wingers, they're not good enough. They are not Premier League winning wingers. They are not Premier League contenders. If you are playing a 38-game season and you've got Savinho and Doku as your wide men, you will not win a Premier League, and you won't really challenge either.
So, yeah. I mean, it sort of circles back to these two, doesn't it? Savinho Doku, and a big takeaway from this tournament is that they have started frequently. I know you only played 4 games, but the feeling I came away with is maybe you can't take a lot from the team selection in the group, but the first knockout game you can, and it was sort of what we've been seeing in the group and what you might be thinking as an insight as to what Guardiola wants in the summer. Starting the Prem season of Savinho and Doku as your starting wingers. And look, you've sort of very well explained why you think that's a bad idea. And you are hanging your hat on wingers becoming good overnight.
Yeah, Alex, I just think we're living on a prayer at the moment. I think our whole play just seems to be, let's hope. I don't get it right. We finished last season, Alex, and I think a lot of City fans, and do you know what? I put myself in this bracket as well. I think we've been naive. Yes, we have made some good additions. Reinders, do I think he's a good signing? Yes. Do I think Turkey's a good signing? Yes. Ain't Nori, great signing. But where we've been naive is like, where did we struggle last year in terms of, yes, we were struggling going forward, but ultimately teams were opening us up so
Yeah.
easily, Alex. And we're talking, lower league sides as well. We're opening us up very easily. Now, a game that was similar is we went to, by the way, I'm not putting this team in that bracket. It's just a game that comes to mind. We played at Villa Park and was within the first minute, they had a one-on-one. And do you know what? Al Hilal, that game was very similar. That every time they got it to either Lodi or João Cancelo, they had one pass and they were clean through. It was not any sort of expert passing lanes or some sort of Kevin De Bruyne ball. João Cancelo did play one very good pass. However, we are not talking they were unlocking us with expert precision. This was very simple to do. We need to be concerned. I think a lot of City fans really need to look at this defence, Alex, because I think personally it's washed. I think the best years are behind a lot of them. Diaz is a strange one because, yes, he's still got age on his side. For whatever reason, he is not the player he once was, and how long do you give him? Because Alex, there's not just one or two things about his game. His timing looks off. His decision-making is poor. There is a lot of things going on that are a little bit unexplainable. But I think on that back line, you've got Nunes, you've got Vardiol, and you've got Diaz, and I don't think any of them can defend. Currently.
Yeah, no.
Look, Diaz was a great defender, but right now that's where we're at.
No, I agree. I think that the message to people maybe watching this, maybe people not watching this, who maybe will go and take the PR approach of, well, we didn't really want to play in this anyway. Let's get out of it. Let's have a break. But to your point, it's like, you've not just won the league and come into this tournament and lost to an average-ish team from the Saudi league. Some things that have been your Achilles heel for a while reared its head last night in a 120-minute game continuously. Yeah. From what I could see, you watched every single minute. I watched what I could today, and that's my thing with the Malcolm goal. What that should be? You're losing 1-0 and everyone's gone up for the corner, and Malcolm gets away and scores. When was the Malcolm goal? Straight away, was it? Sorry, it was 2-1. That was the 2-1 goal. I mean, what the? Wait, how are you in the middle of a game at 1-1 and concede a goal that would probably not look out of place if you're 1-0 down in the 95th minute? I'm sorry, transitions. City Guardiola has admitted this with transitions in his career, the way he sets up, the way he plays. But this is this is way more frequent and way more egregious, really, because, like I said, that's not an 85th minute. You are bombarding someone. You 1-1.
Yeah. I think this would be a good place to move on, Alex, because you make a great point. And I think Pep has got to really look at himself for this because of the way he's setting up now. He has made Bernardo Silva his captain. Now, a lot of other City fans, I didn't see too many complaints. People were going, oh, well, Company said he'd one day be a great leader. He just needs to stop being a joker. You're looking at the wrong things there. We were all saying Bernardo Silva has been washed now for a bit. His legs have gone. I don't want to be disrespectful. What an amazing player he's been for us. Great servant to the club. But we all recognised last year his best years were done. Now, I find it a very strange decision, Alex, to then go and make him your captain. And then you're going into a Premier League season because then it's like he's played every minute of the Club World Cup. He was literally on for the whole match yesterday, which is just mental. And we know this guy now is not at the level he once was. He's going to be playing more than your Cherkis, your Fodens. And Alex, I'm getting a bit sick to death now of that we keep signing players and we are meant to be replacing these guys. And instead, we're signing them, but then we're not using them. Don't get me wrong, right? I know Cherki has just arrived. I'm not saying that that's going to be a recurring pattern, although it wouldn't surprise me based on previous things with Pep at the moment. We signed Nico Gonzalez and Kusanov. They are not getting chances, Alex. If you are not trusting these guys against Al Hilal, when are you going to be trusting them?
Yeah, you make a fantastic point, and I want to really piggyback on the something you mentioned there. You were talking about the minutes in the tournament, and Bernardo Silva was 5th in the tournament for you, behind Reinders, Aït-Nouri and Savinho, and obviously Ederson played literally every minute. Those guys were almost every minute.
Yeah.
Haaland just below. Foden played the 14th most minutes for City in this tournament. After that, Marmoush, 15th. 17th, Turkey.
Yeah.
That to me, people can go, oh, it's the Club World Cup. But I guarantee the same people that are going, oh, it's the Club World Cup, were getting really hyped after the Juve win. You can't have it both ways. Now, in our defence, I think we were fairly level-headed after the Juve win. We're trying to be level-headed now. However, you've just lost, so now you're looking at it glass half empty now. So you're looking at this and going, well, we've just had 4 games. I don't know what City's pre-season even looks like, whether you're going to get a couple of friendlies at the end of it. This might have been the pre-season. You got Phil Foden, Omar Marmoush, Ryan Cherky were not even in the top 13 for minutes played in this tournament. I'm just going to read you some names in the top 11. Obviously, you can only start 11 players. Forget Ederson, he played every minute. These are players that City used a lot in this tournament. Gundogan, 11th, minutes played. Nunes, 9th. Doku, 8th. Bernardo Silva, 5th. Savinho, 2nd. Where that came from, I don't know. These players were not very good last year, some of them. Yeah. They've just been handed 200 plus minutes in a tournament where you could have been giving it to the guys who've got higher ceilings and can have a better season than these. Doku and Savinho getting more minutes than Foden and Cherky is ridiculous. People go, oh, it's the Club World Cup. Okay, well, you take that approach. But when it gets to the end of August and Doku and Savinho are still playing, or Foden and Cherky look rusty, you can't have the argument both ways. Now, all I can take from this is Guardiola is actually leaning towards this as a starting team. That's all I can take. I mean, what do you think about the minute distribution, Christian, on sort of what I've just told you there?
Yeah, no, I wanted to bring this up myself, Alex, so I'm glad you did. So with that given scenario, the people that are saying, oh, well, he's giving, the new players and he's going to bet them in. What did I say to you before this tournament, Alex? I said, you were like, what are your hopes, expectations, and what do you want to get from it? And I was like, look, it's a bit of a, wild card tournament. We don't really know what it is. I'm not too bothered about winning it. What I did say to you, though, is I want a more clear vision of where this team is at when we come out. I want to know the best starting 11. I want to know the best positions of the starting 11. Alex, I come out of this, I'm even more confused. And I think Pep is more to the point. And this is where it's absolutely devastating. And I think people aren't taking this as serious as it is. We've got Omar Marmoush, who we signed in January. No one even knows his position. And I don't think Pep does. Because he comes on sometimes and he's a straight swap for Haaland. He comes on sometimes and he's a number 10. And he comes on sometimes and he's put out wide. This is not okay. It's not a good... We can't keep going with this. It's not sustainable. And it just seems like we have made decision after decision in the transfer market that have really let us down. And I'm not saying the recent recruitments have been bad, because they've actually not. I'm actually really happy with them. But there just doesn't seem any clear alignment with Pep's vision and how he puts the team out. It just seems erratic, and it seems to be continuing and almost spiraling a little bit out of control. It's going on and on. I wanted at the end of this tournament to be like, right, so Cherky's our 10, Foden is our 10 going forward. Now, what we've actually come out of this with, Alex, is Bernardo is our 10. And he's your captain, and he's going to be playing every single minute. Now, you're going to struggle to find many City fans that will either watch this or that will be around the world that will go, that is great, because it's not. We saw where Bernardo was at last year. It's not getting better. Bernardo's not improving, because fundamentally, he's not the player he once was, because he has lost parts of his game through no fault of his own. Father Time catches up on us all, and that is what has happened. Pep now, you said something, Alex, quite a long time ago. Might have been when we first started, and you said Pep seems to have too much trust in the old guard and he has no trust in the new players, but he's buying the new players, Alex. So at the end of the day, who am I going to come to? I can't keep just saying, oh, well, we keep trying these guys. You're buying these new players and then you're not trusting them. And it's not like you're giving them a chance. Nico Gonzalez, who knows what level he's at? No one actually knows, because we've not seen enough of him. And I feel so sorry for him, because, to be fair, when I have seen him, I've not thought, oh, he's clearly not City level. There's been games where I've thought he's impressive. Why are we not seeing these lads given a chance, Alex?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at this minute distribution here now on my phone, and I'm floored by it, to be honest. And look, yeah, you might be an overreaction. Might come into August and see a completely different thing, which I'm
But
sure
then,
from your
Alex,
perspective.
if that's poor preparation from Pep.
No, I totally get your point, and that's the surprise. I mean, the flip side of this, Christian, is that's if he goes into August and just rips the textbook up. I don't know how many friendlies you might have before game one. You're going to get a break now. There's going to be the boys are going to go on holiday for at least 3 weeks. You're going to come
Yeah.
back maybe two friendlies, maybe behind closed doors. Maybe you might get one at the Etihad. I don't know, a warm up game to rip the textbook up and go. Because to me, I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking that I actually can see the vision of what I think Guardiola wants to do. I think he does think that, okay, well, Reinders and Rodri, we don't want to go with an absolute flair option in front of them because we've got question marks over Rodri. Reinders is an 8, but he's quite an athletic player. I don't know why he couldn't. So I'm going to go with Bernardo, which is a hedge number 10, which hedges me
It's
defensively.
not
The
doing one
balance.
thing nor the other, though.
Then I'm going to have two flying wingers. I'm going to have two fullbacks, and we're going to go back to that. We're going to stretch the pitch. The problem is, this team, Foden or Cherky has to start. I'm sorry, there's no creativity.
They
There's
both have to,
no
Alex.
creativity. Reinders will give you a
Yeah.
little bit here and there, but he is not a 10. Bernardo's not a 10. It's mental to me. And look, who knows? Guardiola will come up in game one, and if he does change it all, brilliant. Why didn't he do it now? Why am I reading this here? And why is Nathan Ake getting more minutes than Foden, Marmoush, Cherky? Nico
Exactly.
Gonzalez, Nico Gonzalez got less minutes than Nico O'Reilly.
At the end of the
In this
day,
tournament.
Alex, he had a whole free pass in this tournament to pick his best team, to find out the
Yeah.
best positions for these players, and especially going forward. We have apparently, everyone's talking about this overhaul of this City squad. Well, I didn't really see that last night because it looked the same as last season. It looked all our frailties from last year were prominent in that match. We're
Yeah. Well,
suspect at the back. One ball can take out the whole defence. The team was walking through our midfield. It was absolutely non-existent. And when we do have possession, all that happens is they simply low block. They congest their own area. We put the ball out to Savinho. We put the ball out to Doku. It's the same result every time because either they'll cut back and pass it in. We end up with a Kanji, bloody Ake, Diaz on the edge of their box. You're telling me, Alex, I was watching this and I was saying to the chat and the boys in the chat, I was like, you've got our centre backs, Ake, Akanji, Diaz, in positions, and you've got your new guy Cherky, and you've got Foden on the bench. I was like, I'm going to pull my hair out. Why have we got players in a position who are completely fucking wasted? And you know what? One of the boys in the chat said something. I actually agree with him. He said that he's possession obsessed, and it actually is because what is the thing, right? So yes, we might finish the game with 88% possession. Who really gives a shit if a lot of that possession was spent with Diaz, Ake and Akanji recycling the ball along the edge of the box when Al Hilal players are smirking to each other, going, they can't do anything here. We don't
Yeah.
care because the players they really would worry about on the ball in them positions would be Marmoush outside the box because of his shooting ability. It would be Cherky because of his creativeness. It would be Foden because of his close control and how he can wriggle in and out of tight spaces. Now, none of them exist in the argument that Pep's doing in congesting their area and putting players who will cause no damage to the opponents whatsoever.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think as well that the answer is on the bench, but it also takes a little bit of work. It takes reps. You had 4 games. Cherky and Foden are 20s. Well, Cherky's 21, Foden's 24, 25, whatever he is. They could play every minute in this tournament. They didn't play a lot. Foden didn't play a lot last season. They could have played heavy minutes. To bring them in and not play them much. And Phil Foden scored 3 goals, by the way. Cherky got 1 and he assisted that. That goal last night was fantastic. Probably the best goal he scored at the tournament, team-wise. I know Savinho fluked one in it against Juve.
Yeah.
The thing is, you made a great point there. Well, look, this overhaul. Great, the overhaul. Let's look at the team last night. The only person that started for you last night that wasn't there last season is Aït-Nouri at left back, who is an upgrade, but it's a left back. It ain't going to be, yes, it's an upgrade on what you had there, clearly. But offensively, you can't be looking at Aït-Nouri game to game. I think over a season, he will be a big upgrade. But if you're looking at the front three was the same, the midfield three was the same except Reinders. And with all due respect, Rodri coming in at the minute, well, we're going to get to Rodri actually, we'll save that. you had basically it's the same team as last season except Reinders in for Kovacic or Gundogan, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
You're actually worse because De Bruyne in for Bernardo in last night's team, City would have been more dangerous.
Yeah.
And I know De Bruyne's gone. We don't need to go back there and do that. And I know it was the right thing to do. But I'm just if you're comparing City 2024-25 season to what looks like page one of this season in the Club World Cup, you're actually worse. That starting 11 last night is worse because it's essentially Reinders in for Kovacic and Bernardo in for De Bruyne. That's all I can see. De Bruyne is better than Bernardo in the 10. I have no idea. He should have been bedding Cherki in that 10 or Foden or both, doing something. If Savinho has played 300 minutes in this tournament.
Alex, and now we know, and here's the thing that I was noticing throughout this tournament as well. I don't know if you really picked up on this, but when Doku plays, so Aït-Nouri, when Doku wasn't playing, was probably our most effective player, and I think he got one of the best match ratings at the tournament of any of the other players there. Now, when Doku came in, Aït-Nouri was nowhere near as good because he couldn't express himself because Doku was taking up that occupying them positions. Now, I think that killed us personally because we know what Doku does. Yes, he scored a nice goal. He had a good half against Juventus. Juventus were really bad. And Juventus basically, everything you shouldn't do against Manchester City, they did.
They were abysmal.
So we just exploited it and we absolutely killed them, right? But then any half-decent, half-well-drilled team will be like, right, you don't give City that much space in behind. Obviously, they've got pacey wingers. Not a good idea. And here's the thing. So with Aït-Nouri, are we taking away from what he could give us if you're playing Doku there? And the answer to that is yes, because what you've got on the bench is you've got Foden, you've got Cherki, you've got to make them work. They are both very talented players. If you talk about in world football, there's not many players. You look for these guys that have that something special. Doku and Savinho's, they grow on trees, Alex. I'm not being disrespectful here. They're pacey wingers with little to no end product in terms of either creating or in terms of scoring. They grow on trees. Do you know what they remind me of, Doku and Savinho? They remind me of when Wolves go and spend 10 million from South America. They bring one in and then they sell them for 40, a bit like Richarlison. That's what they stink of. And then even when they get sold, they're not going to move mountains. They will do what Richarlison has done throughout his career. Decent player, and that's all you'll get. Decent Prem player. That is it. Yeah. Now, your Fodens and your Cherkis, this was your time to bed them in. And now you're faced with the daunting prospect, Alex. We're going to be at Wolves away that first game. Will we beat them? Yeah, us and you boys have probably depleted them a bit too much. We don't know what version of them we're going to get. But you think we had the opportunity to really know what we should be doing next year. And now he's going to have to be experimenting in a tough Premier League fixture start. Is that really what we wanted, what we needed?
Yeah. Well, there's two sides to this. You're right. It could be a case of coming into that August fixture against Wolves and, like you said, experimenting. Yes, experiment is a good word to use. Or we run it back. So I've got issues with both because at the end of the day, as much as we rate Cherki and Foden, and I think I think both need to start, if I'm being honest. If I'm looking at your team right now, barring a elite winger coming in, and let's be honest, there's not many on the market anyway, so even if you did go and spend another 80 million, there's no guarantee. There's a reason you spent 80 million on Marmoush, whether he fits or not. It's because the pool isn't great in Europe. You can't go and wave a magic wand and sign Lamine Yamal. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, right, well, Foden and Cherki need to play for me, both of them. If those two play, I can see something being unlocked. I think Aït-Nouri is going to get some inside passes from both of them. And I think Haaland's going to get some service. Cherki and Haaland has to be the combination you're looking at because Foden, for as good as he is, isn't a great crosser either. So Cherki's the one who can get it on the left foot and put a cross in. Haaland's goals in this tournament, scruffy tap-ins or off corners. Yeah.
That's just his own doing. Haaland's own ability to pick up easy goals in the box because he is an expert marksman. That's all he is. He's a fox in the box. Yeah. And that's all we're getting out of him because we're giving him nothing to feed off. Fair play to Haaland, by the way. I am not coming at him at all. Yeah, he missed a one-on-one in the first game. Apart from that, Alex, he's having nothing to feed off. You are so right in what you say. Cherki, in our team, we have got no creativity other than Cherki now. Cherki's come in, right, and he actually is our most important player. Now, whether he's gonna go on and execute that and prove he can be our most important player is another thing.
Mm.
I'm just saying he's the most needed player in our team because ultimately we don't have anyone else that possesses his skill set.
Okay, sorry about that. Little technical difficulty. We're back. Christian, we've kind of done the overall look of the squad and what Guardiola's vision is or lack of. What areas are you looking at now between now and the start of the season? Well, I'm not even asking for names here. I'm asking for what position would you like to invest in, and and what can you get from the market
Well, Alex,
that
like I
can
was just
elevate the
saying,
team? Because it's bloated. The squad's bloated as well, isn't it?
yeah, we need to offload some players. McAtee would be, probably a quick, easy one to up move. There's going to have to be a few players moved on. Personally, I'd be moving on Nunes. I know a lot of City fans are trying to peddle this thing that he's like some cool hero, or you're trying to make him out to be like some Zabla. It ain't happening. He's nowhere near that level. And defensively, he's suspect, and he doesn't really give you much going forward. For a naturally offensive player, I don't know how he offers so little when he gets in them positions. But anyway, just an overall shocking signing. In terms of what we need, Alex, you have got, like we were just saying in the previous conversation, Cherki is our only natural creative player in terms of outside the box where he can put them De Bruyne-esque crosses / passes in, and he can intricately make them passing lanes. You need to replace the wingers, and if you don't, we're in nothing more than a top 4 race at best.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see the ceiling changing from this front three.
Well, Alex, if you're repeating the same thing, what can change? If you're going with Savinho and Doku, we know what Savinho and Doku are.
Definition of insanity, isn't it? I mean, You've got a striker who needs heavy service, and you've got wingers who can't provide. So I don't even understand. And I'm not being funny, but the backup, Marmouche, he's not a provider. He's not. I mean, it's an absolute mashup of skill sets. The thing is, right, you did the right thing. You lock Haaland into a 10-year deal, right? Obviously, anybody would have done that deal. Injuries aside, it should be deemed a very good deal. The problem is, you now have to look round Haaland and go, right, okay, well, I need to do this. I need to sign there. I need this sort of player profile on the right. I need this player profile on the left. You know what player profile you don't want, Christian? You don't want a winger who just dribbles down dead ends. And you don't want a winger who can't cross or shoot. And between Doku and Savinho, you've got both. And that's the problem. So, yes, Foden is going to cut in. He is going to narrow the pitch, but he's got quality. He can he can definitely shoot, and his passing and crossing's okay. Cherki is an excellent creative player from what we've seen. Wand of a left foot type of player. Yeah. Yes, again, he's going to shrink the pitch, and he's not rapid. But this is what you've done. You've gone down the route of Doku Savinho. You're flogging it. It looks like he's going to flog it again this next season. So it's crazy to me. And Christian, going back to say 2-3 weeks ago before the Club World Cup, I was saying to you, could we see a 3-4-3? Could we see something like Guardiola really rips the book up and goes with something?
But this was our opportunity, Alex. Why weren't we trialling these things? It would have been the one positive. Look, there's a lot of negatives to take from this tournament. The players not getting enough rest. We're going to go into the Rodri situation that I know you've got a lot of thoughts on, Alex. But there was some positives we could have taken. We could have used this as an opportunity. It was a bit of a whole free pass to just do what you wanted. No one really cares. Yes, and this is what I mean. I'm not going to be one of these, raging City fans or too emotional that we're going out of the Club World Cup. No, I'm not saying that.
It's not about the tournament.
It's the manner and what I'm seeing repeating from last year. And I'm thinking, well, is this going to be us going forward then? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get you, mate. Just before I do, like you said, I want to touch on Rodri. Before we do that, do you want to touch on some positives? I know, obviously, Ryan Aït-Nouri, again, I've still got the minutes in front of me. He played the third most minutes in the tournament, 285 minutes across the games. 3 appearances. He missed the first one, didn't he, Aït-Nouri? And obviously, Reinders was fourth. So 2 of your new signings were heavily used, in fairness. It's just in those positions where it is a bit plug and play. You're not expecting major bedding in because, like I said, it's an 8 for an 8 and a left back for a left back. So, but just talk to me about Reinders and Aït-Nouri, particularly on what you've seen, what you've liked, and how that's going to transition you from last season to this year.
For sure, I was really impressed. To be fair, Alex, I really like Ryan Nori. I think he's going to give us a bit of a different dynamic. It's something we've not had before because we've ultimately been playing this inverted role and putting centre backs, makeshift players in that position. He's going to give us a completely different feel. He's going to be able to stretch teams. I just feel like to get the best out of him, sack your shit average wingers off because you're going to get more out of your full. He says it all, Alex. We will get more out of Ryan Nori, who's predominantly going to be a fullback, than we will out of our wingers who have complete freedom offensively, and that just shows you how shit they are. But you will get more from him, and especially if you have Foden and Cherky in the team. Seen a couple of link ups with Cherky and Ryan Nori when he came on. I think it was against. It was the team we needed to put 7 past. I forgive me, I can't remember the name of that team. And Cherky came on, a really nice cameo, and he was linking well with Ryan Nori. So yeah, I do think that's a great sign, and I think you will see the best of him, but I think we need to play to his strengths, and you need to get them shit wingers out of the way, because it will not impede us getting rid of them wingers and putting in actual creative players. Ryan Nori holds the width anyway, and to be quite honest, he's better. Once he gets in behind, he will give you a better delivery, and he will strike up a better partnership with Haaland. I tell you what, it'd be interesting. Haaland, of course, would never say this publicly. It'd be interesting to see what his opinion on them wingers would be, because I tell you what, in private, he would absolutely fucking blast them and tell you how shit they are, because he would be saying, listen, I'm having to dig out 20 goals a year, finding them on tops of trees and buildings, because them two ain't giving me shit. Anyway, yeah, so that's Ryan Norris. So I'm really impressed with that. Now, Reinders, yeah, similar, I think. Yesterday was, it weren't great, to be fair. But other than that, he has been really good, and I think bright signs. I think he's a perfect Gundogan replacement long term. I think he is going to give you them driving runs. But what annoyed me, Alex, and it does lean back. I know I'm turning a positive into a negative here, but it's hard not to, because I felt like this was the time where I'd have liked to see a bit more of the AC Milan version of Reinders, where he was given a little bit more freedom in terms of that he could make them driving runs to the edge of the opposition box. It ended up being just congested. We weren't seeing any of that because it was just that recycle play. But I do think long term, and especially in the Prem where it's more fast paced and end to end, I think you're going to see some good signs with Reinders. So yeah, I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, no, I think those two were definitely the two bright spots. I mean, that was probably it really. And also he played Reinders as a DM.
Tournament done.
in a tournament where you play 4 games and you play Reinders as a fucking DM. I mean, what else can you take from it? It's just madness. It's nonsensical. I think just before we get to Rodri, do you think there's real sort of every manager has faced this? No matter how great they are. Some great managers have fell at this hurdle. The hurdle is my philosophy still as effective as it was, right? Every great manager's faced it. Fergie was faced with it at the end of the 4-4-2 era.
Yeah.
Mourinho was faced with it at the end of the defensive, counter-attacking 4-3-3 era. Fergie transitioned into 4-3-3 with Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, and he got Hargreaves tucking in. Mourinho never, ever managed to get over that hump, ever. He is now managing Fenerbahce, is he, in the Turkish league. Fergie finished his career as a Premier League winning manager. And I want to ask you now, and I can't believe I'm actually asking this because of how much I think of Guardiola as a coach and how great I think he is. But is this the first time, do you think, that he is going to bed at night thinking, is my 4-3-3 possession-heavy game still as effective? Football goes in waves, and I've got to be honest, I thought this would stick the time. And I know he's made tweaks. I'm not being disrespectful here. I know he had the stone centre mid, he had the full inverted fullbacks. But is it the first time the general 4-3-3 possession is suffering now against the quicker transitions? We saw that guy in the overlap did an article, Newcastle Bournemouth. It's not route one, but it's that first pass. He's banging through the pitch now.
Yeah.
Do you think he is thinking, and well, one, what do you think? And two, do you think he is going to think, does he need to change mega things about his philosophy, or do you think he can do, little corrections here and there, but keep the main thing? What's your opinion on it at the minute?
No, it's a fair question. I think my honest answer to the question, I think Pep, for the first time in his career, looks a little bit lost. I really do. I think the end of last season, he looked a bit lost. I think he's made signings that he would have hoped to have fixed this, and they don't seem to fit what we're trying to do at all. The players look. We have too many players which seem like they're too scared to make a mistake now, whether that's Pep's coaching or whether that's the players that are just not at that ability level. I don't know what that would be. For instance, obviously now you've got Savinho in a position where Mahrez was. Mahrez would not always turn back and pass, and Mahrez would not always get to the byline and make the wrong decision. But this is what you've got when you've gone and got players of a much less ability level, and we are suffering because of that. I think in terms of formation wise, is Pep going to bed and he's thinking, is it the right thing? Possibly, especially after that tournament. I think he'll be looking at that now. Well, how many times, Alex, can you watch a game and come away from a game against a poor team like a Southampton? No disrespect to Al Hilal, but they're no world shakers, are they? How many times can you come away from games like that and you're saying, well, how many chances did we create? Sooner or later, something's going to have to give or something's going to have to change. And I feel like that's where we're at. So, yeah, I'd say, I think, my personal opinion is I think we need to get the right players in. But unfortunately, this is what we've been meant to be doing, and we've failed at it, really. You know, we brought in Marmoush. Yes, he's Marmoush. And I'd just like to say something on this, Alex. So I hear these punditry teams, and ESPN is one. Do you watch much of it, Alex?
A little bit. I mean, it's that Shaka Hislop's on there, and he's just a fucking donut.
No, they're all idiots. I like Nader Manu just because he's a
I knew he was decent
guy and stuff. Yeah, and he's quite balanced. He's the only rational one. The others are absolute idiots. I mean, half the time they give their. I've seen it once before. They give their opinion on the game, and then they've gone, "Well, I didn't really see it anyway." I'm like, right, okay. Well, everything you've just said is irrelevant. Then basically, is what you've said. But anyways, no. Yeah. But no, so in fairness, that one was at 2 a.m. though. But yeah, so with teams like ESPN and certain punditry teams, and then they're coming out with this thing with Marmoush saying, "Oh well, what a player he is" and things like that. But then they're also going, "Well, yeah, I don't really know where his position is," and it's like, well, how can you have both then? It's like, the signing was either a great sign. Oh, I love that boy Marmoush. Well, but where is he playing, Alex? You know what I mean? Talk to me. I just don't get it. We've got these idiots that are spreading it out there going, oh, what a great signing. Well, it's not a great signing if we don't even have a position for him. Yeah, he scored a few bangers from outside the box. But if we are looking at this logistically, mate, we don't have a position for the guy. He's not a winger. And currently, is he a creator? Has he shown any signs of being a creator? No. So therefore... what is he then? Is he the 9? Is he the 9 second option for Haaland when we need a goal and you throw him on in the last 10? Is that what we've got? You know what I mean? And this is what I mean by how our recruitment has let us down recently, Alex, because we've brought these guys in. They either haven't got a recognised position or the players that we are playing in them positions just simply aren't good enough, i.e. Savinho and Doku.
Yeah. No, I totally get your point. I mean, Marmoush is something that I've been seriously just scratching my head on from a neutral fan's perspective. Not even that he's a bad footballer, but just the fit. Like you say, you can have all these amazing pieces, but it's how they fit together and make a cohesive unit and an attacking team. And what this tournament tells me is he thinks Jeremy Doku's a better left winger than Marmoush. I probably would lean to agree with that. That is not great. Also, I'm looking at this and going, if Foden's on the bench, Cherky's on the bench, he's maybe third choice number 10. He cost 80 million or near enough, and he's on 300 bags a week. And it was a January buy. City have not done this. City were the ones that coerced teams like United into doing deals like that. Yeah. Oh, Alexis Sanchez, you don't really need him, but go on. You lot go and panic and shit the bed and give him 500 grand a week. We'll sit back and we'll just go and buy Mahrez in the summer. That's what City used to do. So, look, it's just a question. Look, this isn't me having a go at Guardiola. And he might just run it back and it'd be amazing. You can't say anything negatively. And like I said, I'm not suggesting he's going to go down the Mourinho route. I know he won't go down the Mourinho route.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Great managers. If somebody said in 2006, Jose Mourinho in 10 years, maybe a bit longer, 12, 13 years, will be dossing around mid-table jobs like Spurs and Fenerbahce, they would have scoffed. And do you know why Mourinho's doing that? Is because he was too stubborn to ever change, or he couldn't change. I don't think Guardiola's... I think he's a better coach than Mourinho. I think he's got better talent ID. But is he looking at this going, I need to rip it up? And what is the answer? Is the answer in there somewhere? You know?
Would you want to know my biggest worry about it is, it's not in terms of can Pep change, because Pep has proved in the past he can change. He can be very flexible, probably one of the most managers that is, will try different things. My biggest worry is that Pep has always been great at recognising when things aren't right and recognising what he needs to change and who he needs to change and who to get in there in replacement of them. And recently, that's been a huge issue with Pep. I'll be completely honest. We all watched as fans last year. We watched Savinho and Doku over a 40-game season. We all knew the problems. Now, Pep playing them two frequently in that tournament and looking like they're going to be the mainstay going forward is telling me that he's not seeing the problems in this. And that is what's concerning me. And it's not just at that end as well. I know I've hammered them too. The other end is a huge, huge concern because we're left with a hole in defence. I mean, you've got Akanji, who is... I'm not being harsh here. He is shit. He is completely gone. He is an absolute skeleton of his former self. And same with Dias. Dias is not the player he once was. And it's like I was saying at the start of the pod, Alex, it's like, how long do you give it then? Because at the end of the day, last year was a complete washout. Arsenal have strengthened. Liverpool have strengthened. Then where does this put us?
Oh, like I said, mate, people go, oh, De Bruyne's over the hill, De Bruyne's this. In that FA Cup final, who was the only one who had something about him to grab the ball and try and do something with it. And he nearly did for Echeverri, and he's really not having a go at the kid, but probably should have scored. Now, you have now lost De Bruyne, and you go, well, he's over the hill. Well, that's great. Well, show me the ones that aren't over the hill then, because if this isn't over the hill, I'm, from your perspective, worried. Mate, look, I mean, looking at that, Kanji's 29, Diaz 28. This thing with Diaz... and it must be infuriating for City fans yourself, this shit defending and constantly looking up at the linesman with your arm up or looking at the ref because you've made a bollock. It's constant with Diaz now. He's at it again last night. Arm up, trying to get bailouts. Defend better!
Yeah.
What's your week?
No, it's just this constant whinging, and I saw it. Do you know what? I saw it for Portugal as well, and he was doing the same thing.
Well, a lot of them do this.
Was it that Wirtz goal, and he's wanting because he got little boyed by some shit fucking striker. That's Diaz. I just don't know. The fall of Diaz needs to be investigated because I genuinely, when we signed him at what was he 23 when City signed him, and we were like, my God, how have City gone and done it? How have City lost company and gone and got fucking Diaz? I can imagine all opposition fans just being like, for fuck's sake, can we not have a break? And then, how has it got to this? What has happened with that guy? And, the thing is, Alex, I used to see this with Jack Grealish always used to jokingly make jibes at him, saying he lives in the gym. And he like spends all his time outside of training. He just can't wait to hit the gym. And it's like... Were they actually signs then of a bit of a deeper issue? Because we've seen this with United, Alex, and you've brought this to my attention, and you said players after a year or two, once they break into the first team and they're smashing the gym too much and they got concentrated on their body and they lose a yard. And the thing is, yes, it was Grealish joking, but you should see how many interviews there is on it, and other players as well. City do these like stupid quizzes, and it's like player who's always in the gym, they all say him, and it's like, well, what is he doing then? Because obviously he's not helping himself in the gym, and his gameplay has got progressively worse, and he is at the worst I've ever seen him at the start of this season. So what's going on? What is he doing in there? Because it's clearly not helping.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. And obviously, just looking here, Edison's 31, had not covered himself in glory in this tournament again.
Edison is just, I think, Alex, we've made a mess of recruitment in recent years, and he's just another example of that. He wanted to go, I think 2 years ago, City wanted him to stay, so we got another year out of him. Now we're in a position where he wants to stay, and I don't know what we're doing. We've kind of said we need a keeper, but we're not really hunting one down. There's rumours of Costa, a few other keepers. I just don't know what we're doing, Alex. I'm so confused. Similar to Bernardo, it's like Bernardo wanted to leave all them years, and now he's sort of begging us to stay. And it's just like, well, look at that. Why do you think that's an issue? Because suddenly these players are like, right, actually, Bernardo in particular, be like, right, well, actually, I'm on 300 grand a week. And yes, maybe I did want to go to Spain all them years ago, but now I recognise them teams aren't going to want me anymore. And if I leave anywhere else other than Saudi, I'm not going to get this kind of money. No wonder he wants to stay. And then Pep goes and makes him captain. There's more questions than answers with this team and with the manager's decision-making at the moment, Alex. And if I said I wasn't seriously concerned on the back of this tournament, and I know you could watch my stream from the Juve one, look, we are all emotional fans at the end of the day. Yeah, did I get a little bit carried away watching that? Yeah, of course. But ultimately, I've always had these problems. You know me, Alex. We've sat and done streams now for a year straight, and you watch me moan about the same pre-existing issues with this City squad, and they are all still the same. Now, I've not changed my viewpoint. And the fact that Pep is not addressing them, it's starting to be... It's beyond worrying now. And I'm not hearing any rumours that we're in the market to fix this winger situation.
No, and exactly, and you're in the position where you got to start hitting as well because you've had some gaffes. Okay, let's come to another negative, a bit of a different angle to this. Rodri came off in extra time last night. Before we get into this, we have no idea what this injury is. Was it something very minor? Was it something as separate from the knee? Was it discomfort in the knee? We don't know. So let's not speculate in regards to what he came off with last night. However, when I woke up this morning and obviously saw the result, saw your brilliant stream last night. Well done to you. I then was on Twitter and I seen Rodri came off and there was Guardiola did a message and I think a screenshot sent it to you. Yeah. Rodri asked to come off in extra time because of an injury and it was very hush after that. Now, I have tore my ACL and my meniscus and I had full reconstruction and I had my cartilage trimmed down as well in my knee. Now, Rodri has had the same injury as me. He's a pro athlete. He's probably got the best surgeon in Europe to do his surgery. So before people think I'm comparing things, I'm not. But I'm talking about this timeline of how quick Rodri has come back. Rodri tore his ACL on the 22nd of September. He came back on the 20th of May. If we say he waited a few days for surgery, that's about 7 months and 3 weeks, give or take, from surgery to game one back against Bournemouth. That's under 8 months. That is rapid comeback. This injury, a lot of people say 12 months, shut people down. Now, for people who don't know about this injury, I know it's become very common now, and it's a bit of a meme, isn't it? I could have made it pro, but I tore my ACL. I couldn't have made it pro, by the way. I just did tear my ACL. But it's a bit of a joke, and people just go, oh, it's terrible. People might not know about this, and I know you do know a little bit because of me, and I've told you what, obviously, my surgery that I had. The reason it's a big injury is because an ACL tear does not heal on its own. It's not like an ankle sprain. Once your cruciate ligament snaps, that's it. The only way to repair it is with a ligament graft. Now, a graft has to come from another part of the body. You don't have any more ACLs. You only have similar ligaments in your body that you can pull from. Now, I had a hamstring graft. Rodri probably had patella tendon. It takes a long time for that graft to start acting like your new ACL. Yeah. The actual surgery has become quite straightforward. You don't have big scars on your knee anymore. It's not open. It's not like your full knee down. It's like almost keyhole, to be honest. It's amazing. But to be playing professional football after that time, to me, it actually scares me because I work in an office. I'm not an athlete, clearly. But I do remember milestones in my head. I remember going to a physio at 6 months and he was like, start jogging in a straight line now. And you know what he said to me? Do not turn. Do not plant and pivot that foot. You can run in a straight line and straight line back. Take your time as you circle round. That's the big thing with ACLs. You can run in a straight line without your ACL, but if you try and turn, your knee's going to feel unstable and slippy, and you're going to feel like you're going to rock out of your own knee joint. Now, Rodri has then come to this Club World Cup, and this is where it gets uncomfortable for me. 173 minutes he's played at this tournament. That is the 12th highest minutes, and City played 25 players at this tournament. That's more than Foden, more than Cherky. We did the minutes before. Nico Gonzalez made 61 minutes in this tournament. Rodri made 173 in a tournament where 3 group games were dead. Against 2 were against real poor opposition. And Juve were, to be fair, Juve were worse than Wydad.
Yeah.
I'm really uncomfortable with this, Christian. And seeing this last night has made me really worry. And you know what it made me think of? You might remember this. Falcao, Radamel Falcao, amazing striker, prime Falcao, by the way. Do you remember United signed him on loan in August 2014? He tore his ACL in January 2014. He could not get going at United. Couldn't get going. And you know one thing with Falcao, Christian, it wasn't just that he couldn't get going. He was picking up niggles. He was getting injuries here and there all season. It didn't stop. And do you remember when you got Monaco 2 years later in the Champions League? He'd gone back to Monaco, destroyed you. Now, what they said about that was, you know the message around Falcao? Came back too quick. Came back too quick, and his body took 18 months to recalibrate and get himself strong again. And then you saw the best of him when he bullied John Stones and lobbed the ball keeper that you had, forget his name. Amazing goal, by the way. If you've not seen it, I'm sure City fans probably have seen it. It was amazing. And he was class in that season with Monaco. And then he was 31-32, and the great man sort of regressed a little bit. And it just made me think that January to September, United played him in September. I was at his debut, Falcao. I had a look today. January to September. It's about 8.5 months.
Yeah, it really
I'm thinking, right, Rodri last night, did he get a niggle? Is this... This is like, City fans are looking at this, not you, by the way, but some City fans who might not know the injury, might not really understand why it's a big 12 months off injury.
Yeah.
Getting him back is one thing. Some City fans are going, we've got Rodri back. City fans are going, we are plugging in Rodri into our DM role.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if that's what you want, you should have shut him down for the year and brought him back in August. It's madness to me. These pitches, these artificial pitches, are shitty little fucking plastic ones he's been playing at the Club World Cup. It's insanity from City. I have no idea what they did. Why was he back against Bournemouth for 7 minutes? Just let the boy recover. He's 29. I mean, Christian, what is your take? Obviously, you know a bit from me with obviously my surgery and, you know, the injury itself. What is your feelings from a City fan's perspective, seeing that, I'm not saying anything bad has happened. He might have tweaked an ankle last night. This is not me going, he's re-tore his ACL. I don't think he will have done. But I'm just saying, from your perspective, what do you think? And what's your feeling towards it?
Yeah, my thoughts. I mean, like I was just saying, you've obviously been through this, so you know a lot more than me. I know little bits from you telling me your injury and your rehabilitation process. Like you said, you only need to look at Falcao and other players that have been through this in the past. Leroy Sané, who my club and all our fans saw. We have seen this is a very delicate injury and it needs to be handled with absolute care. And it doesn't seem like it has been, to be fair. I mean, him coming off, whether the injury is related to anything that he has done, it probably isn't. But what him getting injured and like them little niggles, like you were giving the examples with Falcao, it's an example of he has been rushed back. And whether, yes, okay, he may have been okay to train. He may have been okay to come on for 2, 3, 4 minutes, just get a feel for the game, have a touch of the ball. He should not have been playing the amount of minutes he was playing and being one of our mainstays at this tournament. I think categorically we can all agree on that, Alex.
Just madness, mate. Honestly, I can't believe it, really. And look, I hope that he's okay.
Sorry, my dog's been absolutely crazy.
I think, from a personal perspective, it's tough and it's mentally challenging as well to come back from.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine a professional coming back playing at the pace they have to, having that confidence to plant your leg and change direction. And you see him misplacing passes. This
Yeah.
tournament, he's got a 90% success rate passing. Rodri.
It might not seem like anything, Alex, but when we were talking before off
Yeah.
air and you were giving me examples of all the players at this tournament and the comparisons, and also we know Rodri of the past, that they are low numbers for him. It might not
94,
seem
95.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it might not seem like a huge drop off, but in terms of Rodri and his capabilities, and we all know his level, his ability level, it is quite a big difference. And look, I'm not saying that's alarming in terms of what level he can get back to. I have all the hopes in the world that we will come back and see the best of Rodri. I just don't think you need to be spearheading him in, rushing him back, and creating niggles, creating more injuries, or possibly actually rupturing anything, any serious damage. This is why Nico Gonzalez was purchased. And this is what I'm saying, Alex. It all leads back to these other issues. Pep does not trust his own signings anymore.
He never has from day one. I mean, Nico Gonzalez was the guy to play when Rodri was not available. He is definitely the guy to play when you're easing him back. To not utilise him in both examples is just madness to me. 60 mil. I mean,
well, Alex, as well, and it's just like
smoke.
Pep Guardiola. Okay, so the reason this injury happened, don't get me wrong, I'm not pinning this on Pep, right? Categorically, I'm just saying he does have a part to play in it. He does have a little bit of answering for that Rodri injury. He was overplayed, right? And he was overplayed because we bought a player called Calvin Phillips, who we still have not got rid of, and he's running down his contract. God knows, I think we've still got him for another year. Christ knows where he's going to be playing next year. Now, we have gone and bought Gonzalez, and he is saying Gonzalez isn't in a position to be rotating against Al Hilal. So that means we're in Calvin Phillips Part 2 territory. Now, that also is going to tell me that Rodri is going to be like, right, welcome back, son, another 70 games, nice one. Well, if you do that, that could potentially be the end of his career.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean that's the thing, and some City fans are obviously they're almost nailing this. We've got Rodri back. Like I said,
it's not as simple as Alex.
Falcao was all-time great, probably similar age. He rushed back, and it wasn't his knee. It was everything else in his body. You know, you're almost overcompensating. So you pop a groin. It's your other leg because you're doing too much strength training to try and rehab.
Calf, yeah.
Oh, but you know as well the timing. I can't understand the decision where you had the opportunity to shut him down till the next season. Forget the Club World Cup and forget the fucking league games, whatever that was about. I don't know. Let him get up to speed and be ready to go start next season. That was it. 11 months would have been September to August done. And obviously City chose against that. But look, you're out the Club World Cup. The last positive is you have got a good amount of rest. At least you've got a bit of rest to go through. Obviously, your dog isn't resting in the background. I can hear that.
Yeah, no, he's. I think he wants to eat me. So, look. Okay. No, cheers to stay, mate. Look, it was good therapy coming on.
Okay, right. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, better at.
Okay. All right, mate. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Christian. See you later, everyone.